Hello and welcome back, listeners, to the Mindful Living Podcast with your host, Sana, where we explore life's twists and turns with a focus on growth, healing, and a touch of humor. Today's guest is absolute powerhouse, Teresa Rosario-Hernandez, the creator and host of Ride or Die, From Teens to Prosecco Queens. Teresa's blend of wit, wisdom, and real life's relatability is guaranteed to inspire and entertain. Listeners, she's a proud single mom, a juggling pro who balances multiple jobs with raising her mini niece and a Nuyorican, I hope I'm pronouncing correctly, Teresa, queen who knows how to turn life's chaos into stories that empower and connect. From overcoming severe health anxiety to finding yourself at any age, Teresa's journey is packed with lessons, laughs, and a toast worthy outlook on life. So, listeners, grab your metaphorical glass of Prosecco or tea, well, no judgment here, and settle in for a delightful ride with Teresa as we dive into self discovery, grounding techniques, and embracing your authentic self. So, Teresa, welcome to the show, and it is an absolute honor to have you today with us.
Thank you, Sana. That was a beautiful introduction. I am blessed and grateful to be here. Thank you so much for having these open minded conversations because that's what I thrive on and that's what helps everybody as well.
Definitely. So, Teresa, your podcast, Ride or Die from Teens to Prosecco Queens, it's such a vibrant reflection of your personality. How did your own experiences, like overcoming health anxiety or the issues shape the way you connect with your audience?
I think it's just the journey of healing, right? When you're in a particular mindset, when you have severe anxiety, when you have depression, when you have any mental illness, when you have an addiction, when you're just trying to live life, right? In your beautiful introduction, it talks about, that I'm a single mom, I'm a worker, I work multiple jobs. And that's a beautiful badge that I wear, but so many people wear that as well while we try to just survive every day. So for me, part of my journey through all of the things I've overcome and continue to overcome is about not trying just to survive through the journey, but learn that you can survive and you can thrive and that you have a community around you that even though you may at times think different, and I don't, and when I say think different, I mean morals aside, that's a different issue. I mean, just thinking differently or having different lifestyles, different perspectives, you can always bring something to the table and let people be a little more open-minded to these journeys and also have some more empathy for certain situations that we may not have always had an open mind or be empathetic to.
Yeah, I agree with that. And severe health anxiety can feel all consuming, Teresa. So, what methods or tools have been most effective for you in grounding yourself during those, moments of spiraling thoughts?
When I was a kid, it started, and I won't go into the details, but at the time that I was a kid, it wasn't a thing. There was no therapies for it. There was no diagnosis for it. It was just like, maybe you're going crazy. And I remember thinking, maybe I am going crazy. I didn't understand what was going on. And it becomes this spiral, this pure spiral of I must be dying. There's gotta be something wrong that they don't know about. I must be dying. And everything then your body then reacts towards the way your mental is going. And I suffered for many, many years as I got older. I remember being 21 and finally going, I can't take this anymore. And I was like, I need to just this has to stop. And somehow I was blessed enough that it did. Um, Over the years, after that, we're talking over 20 plus years at that point, I started to at moments have time of it and somehow I was able to ground myself back by doing things that made me feel comfortable, exercising, overcoming the fear of exercising. I've always loved to exercise and go to the gym and dance and everything. But because I always thought in my head, something's wrong, don't let your heart rate go too high or, you know what I mean? Or always checking my pulse, things like that. Sometimes it stops you from doing things that are normal. actually make you feel better. And I had to learn that those are the things that make me feel better. Exercising, going out with my friends when I could, writing in my journal, writing poetry, listening to music, uh, things that I needed to do for me, just going out in nature, just to learn that I'm a part of nature. And that's what needs to ground me. As I got older, there were moments just during COVID as well that it really spiraled worse than it had ever been. And it started because of severe depression and some other stuff that happened in my household. And that caused me to have like depression I've never had before. And it just was a downward spiral. And it was one of the hardest times of my life for a lot of reasons. And I talk about that on the podcast as well. Um, and what happened was I was able, it took me again like 2 years to say enough. Like I had to mentally try to work through it. Not everybody is capable of doing that. And I'm blessed that I've been able to do that because I still struggle a little every day, um, with fears of things I can't necessarily control. And that's a huge part of health anxiety. So I think trying to, and they used to call it hypochondria. Now it's health anxiety, politically correct, but it's the same idea. It's just your body really, your mind really does control your body a lot of the time.
I totally agree with that. And it's really, really inspiring how you navigate it because it requires a lot of mental strength.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
That's really empowering. So, also, you have described yourself as a proud single mom, juggling
Yeah.
roles. Yeah, you know, as a single mom, it's a different kind of journey. Navigating through the different responsibilities on your plate. So, how do you manage imposter syndrome, especially when you are wearing so many hats?
That's a good question. Imposter syndrome is so prevalent in women,
Mm.
because we are trying to juggle so much. I always say I'm a proud single mom because nobody chooses. Let me not say that. That's not true. There are people that choose it regardless. I did not necessarily know that the choices I was making was going to lead to this place. And that the choices of the others that I was in those relationships were going to lead me to this place. And there's a stigma about being a single parent always, regardless of the situations. And I truly believe that having peace in your home is more important than having what people think is the quote unquote nuclear family, right? I think that I think it's really important to have peace and no toxicity. You're gonna have normal family drama and strife, as a mom doing it all by myself. It is hard. It is very hard. I'm blessed. I do have a support system around me when I need it. But 99% of it I do myself and with my kids. And there's millions of us out there, right? Possibly billions of us out there, doing the same thing. So when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's real. It's a real, uh, for lack of a better term, affliction that some of us do deal with, where we're saying to ourselves constantly, I'm pretending in all of this. I'm pretending I'm great at my job just so I can get through the day. I'm pretending that I got everything under control just so I can survive, right? And trying to push past that is terribly hard. We live in a world where unfortunately everything is competition even when you don't see it. Everything in our jobs, I have a very professional job and then I have two side jobs that I do as well. And it's always feeling like I'm not doing enough to do better. And unfortunately, in this world that we live in, that is the way we're pitted against each other. It's all about who can make the most money, who can be the best parent, who can volunteer the most at school, who can be the PTA president. And you always meant to feel guilty when you can't do all those things. I'm one of those parents, I can't always do all those things. And it makes me feel guilty every day. So imposter syndrome is really hard to overcome. But it's just about trying every day to remind yourself and again, ground yourself and remind yourself you're only doing the best that you can. And if you're able to get up every day and do it, you're in a better place than some people.
That's rightfully said. That's a great answer, Teresa, and
Thank you.
really once again inspiring. Um, so finding yourself, it's a journey many people think what we have seen or we have read through should happen in their 20s, but you have shown it can happen at any age. So what advice would you give to someone who feels like it's too late to rediscover themselves?
Mm, it's another good question. You know, what's funny is that obviously I'm in my early 40s, and if I'm blessed and God gives me life, I have a long life to live, right? And some people will say, "Oh, well, what do you, you're a baby compared to some people, right? Talking about me compared." But I don't think that that matters. I think that we all have chapters of our lives, and what my problem, my biggest issue was in my 20s and even in my 30s is that I was conforming as a kid too. I always conformed to what I thought people wanted me to be, and to have people want me as
Mhm.
opposed to the other way around. So I always gave more of myself, everything of myself, to people who maybe didn't really deserve that level. And because of that, I lost who I may have been. But I learned that we're different people as kids, teenagers, 20s, 30s. I'm a different person in my 40s than I probably will be in my 50s, right? It's about just at that moment understanding what you want out of your life. And I'm still learning. I'm growing. I'm changing. I'm healing. That's a journey. It's not linear for anybody. Anybody can start the journey at any age to be. And I don't like to say a better you because that's really not for me to judge how someone's better, but for them to feel comfortable in who they are in their own skin and be a healthy version of themselves. I am human. It's a part of the human experience. I lose myself every once in a while. I'm still trying to find who I am. And just when I think I got it, I may lose it again, because that's just part of living this life and growing and changing and experiencing things we didn't think we would do change and shape who we are. But being able to understand that until you're not breathing anymore, your act is not over.
True, true. Wow. And uh, you emphasize finding yourself at any age, but on the other, your journey seems to suggest it's also tied to external roles, like being a mom or a podcast host. So, how do you differentiate between self discovery and the identities we take on?
I think we compartmentalize a lot
Mhm,
of the time,
mhm,
and sometimes that's healthy and sometimes it's not, right? We know people who are severely ill sometimes compartmentalize and they become two separate people. I
mhm,
think for me, my biggest journey was trying to learn how I can be both and I can be
mhm,
all things and still be me. I can be the best mom that I can be. I can still fight with my kids and, yell at them to do stuff and have fun with them when I can and pay the bills and work. And then I can also be on the other side, a grown woman who has her own needs and wants and desires for her life, as well as a podcast host, which I struggle with because it's not easy to do, but I love it. I love being able to do that and have people understand that this journey you're not alone on.
mhm,
I do feel that there's different parts of me that I obviously do not share with the world, but I'm comfortable with sharing a lot of it. It's about being able to meld yourself into all those pieces without having to compartmentalize, without
mhm.
being ashamed of all the pieces that you thought you should be ashamed of.
Yep, yep. Uh, So your humor and relatability are such key parts of your storytelling, and I can totally feel that. How do you balance sharing personal struggles like relationship challenges or anxiety while keeping things uplifting and empowering at the same time?
I think for me, again, for me specifically, I always try, and it's not always easy. So let me just preface it by saying it's not always easy. We're all born with very different families, different lives, different personalities. For me, again, I've been very blessed that I was born with family around me that we have twisted sense of humor, we have funny sense of humor. We can laugh at the silly things, and even at sometimes the hardest times, we can laugh at the silliest things, or make light of it, and not everything is funny, of course. Situations aren't funny, but it's not about being funny. It's about just seeing sometimes a brighter side of something
Yeah.
to not necessarily not make you laugh, but just to feel like, okay, I know this is hard. It's going to be hard. We're humans, we have to live through it. But being able to see some parts of it that make you go, okay, it's a little bit lighthearted at times. And I think we all need that. Things are really heavy. This world is so heavy. And sometimes being able to see the funnier side of certain things is the better way to go. It's not, like I said, I'll reiterate this, it's not easy to do. I don't do it all the time. I've spent many months of my life
Mhm.
broken down severely and not always being able to find the light. But it's about being able at some point to say, I can't live like this anymore. I need to find a way to find some healthy outlet in this particular sense. And for me, a lot of the time it's by finding the silly.
Mm. True. It's true. Wow, great answer.
Thank you.
So, also, you have spoken about the importance of grounding and mindfulness to overcome anxiety. Yet, your lively and fast-paced lifestyle, it seems to kind of contradict that calm air. How do you reconcile these two sides of yourself?
Sometimes just having to remember to stop and take a breath.
Mm.
That is the hardest for all of us because we go 24/7. It feels like we're not sleeping enough. We're not eating enough. We're not exercising enough. We're not playing enough. We're working too hard or we're not working enough. There's always something, right? And sometimes for me, it is just separating myself for a second. Say, I've just worked 15 hours today. Or the one day that I'm not working, I'm running around, or we're doing laundry, or we're folding clothes, or figure out what we're gonna have for dinner, things like that, right? It just keeps going. And that's okay because again, I've always said for me to be able to do those things and have the ability for me is I'm grateful enough for that. But there
Mhm.
are moments that I'm just done. I've had many moments where I've said, that I've let myself get to the point where I'm like, I can't anymore. I need to separate myself. I
Mhm.
don't think that I don't encourage people to wait till you're at that point. We sometimes just don't realize we're getting to that point. I encourage self-care so much and self-love so much. We need to take time to do something that we enjoy, even if it's a couple minutes a day, even if it's laying in your bed with a cup of tea, scrolling on TikTok. I mean, it's mindless, right? If it's reading a book or if it's going out to the grass and just stick your feet in the grass and touch a tree, that is huge. Take some breaths. Do things that make you feel human, that make you feel like you can touch the inside of yourself because that's how you're able to continue mindfully
Correct.
with the day-to-day scrum that we're always in.
Correct. That's correct. Great, great, Teresa. And as someone who's constantly inspiring others, what's one mindful practice or mindset shift you have embraced recently that has been a game changer for your personal growth?
Wow. I wish I could say for me it was just one, but I think yeah, like, because I mean, there's just times that some things work and some don't, right? Sometimes for me, it's I got to go out and take a walk. But lately, for me, one of my things I used to do, and I realized it wasn't healthy, is I used to want to snack. I want to binge eat, and just stuffing stuff down, and that's not the healthy way to do it. So I literally have gotten to the point that some nights I tell my kids they're a little older. One of them is 18, one of them is 8, so they're able to take care of themselves in the way that I'm like, you know what you got to do tonight, and then go to bed. Mommy loves you. Good night, and I go to my room. And I
Mhm.
take that time to do whatever, get myself a facial, do my nails, sit on my chair and scroll, go to bed early, listen to music, whatever it watch a basketball game. I love to do that. Lately, I love to do that all the time too, is just put it on. Those kind of things help me just relax. If I have an hour, it's a blessing. If I have 2 hours, it's like, wow, I don't know what to do with myself, you know? And I think that's really important. Just again, find the things that bring you a little bit of joy, but also will help clear your mind in a healthy way.
Great, great. Well, that's really a great conversation we have had. And Teresa, if our listeners they want to get in touch with you or listen to your podcast, how they can do that.
Thank you very much for the conversation. I appreciate it as well. Always putting myself out there and for any other podcasters that are helping put the message out there because we're a community and it's a mindful community. It's very different than anything that we've had in history. And I think it's amazing that we're able to do this. Right now, up until 2025, my podcast is Ride or Die From Teens to Prosecco Queens. It's all the podcasting sites for the most part, especially Apple Podcasts, Pandora, et cetera, et cetera. As of 2025, it will be changed just to Prosecco Queens Podcast because we're changing it to kind of reflect ladies lunching, right? Having these open conversations that you would have with your friends or, any of your friends, your family, around a cup of coffee, around a cup of Prosecco. I can be reached on IG, Instagram at Prosecco Queens Podcast. My email is proseccoqueenspodcast@gmail.com. We are on TikTok at Prosecco Queens Podcast. And also, my episodes are on YouTube as well at Prosecco Queens Podcast. So please like, share, follow, review, trying to really build a community and help as many people as I can.
Lovely, lovely. We'll have all the details mentioned in the show notes for our listeners. And
Thank
Teresa, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your authenticity, and also a bit of humor with all of us. You
Always.
helped us, remind that, life is a journey. Sometimes it is messy, often unpredictable, but it's always worth embracing. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanan. You are a wonderful host. I appreciate it.
Listeners, if you loved today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to Mindful Living Podcast. Leave a review. Let us know how we are doing and share it with someone who could use a little inspiration. Follow Teresa's journey. You can refer the show notes along with this episode. And you can also follow us on Instagram on mindfulliving.bizblend. And until next time, keep living mindfully and embracing the ride. Cheers.
Thank you.